How you doing? This is Irma J. I'm here to give you part two of David being fearless. So David had knew the Lord had wanted him to seek his face. And it is encouragement to believe to seek the Lord. And so we have to seek God, not just when we're in trouble. We have to do like David. I'm talking to myself too. We have to do like David. We have to seek God every day. It'll be easy to already be in his presence when trouble comes. So do not hide your face from me, and do not turn your servant away in anger. You have been my helper. Do not reject me or forsake me, my God and my Savior. So this David talking. He's telling God, don't hide your face from him. And reject him and forsake him. My God is my Savior. So the Lord loved hearing our prayers, depending on him, because he wants us to depend on him, because he is our capable, willing, and eager to answer us with grace. So hide not your face from me. Turn not your servant away in anger. You been my helper. So though my father and mother forsake me, the Lord will receive me. Now he's telling him the Lord will receive him. Because remember when he was a boy, when God had anointed him, and so Saul, God put that on Saul, that angry spirit. David was the only one can help him. So he sought for David to come live with him so he can help him. But his parents just let him go. They asked no questions. They didn't see how David was doing or none of that. So he said when his father forsake him, the Lord will receive him. And so many have had sad experience of forsaking, their father and mother. But this had happened because he had a broken home and difference in our belief. Now this abandonment often leads children with emotional scars. And a plan, made legal long adulthood. Because see, a lot of time there'll be trauma as a child. They will not say nothing until they get grown. You know, and so God can take the place in our life. Anyone who has abandoned us. That's why a lot of children, been raised up as a black sheep. God scoop us up, as chosen one, and teach us the way. So teach me your way, Lord. Lead me in a straight path because of my oppressor. Now David had prayed with guidance from the Lord, attaining God's knowledge and smoothing out his path. Because David was still on his path. God had told him he was going to be a king over Israel, but he wasn't a king yet. He was still under Saul, running from his enemies, but he still was on this path. I think he was in training with under Saul, and so what sometimes seemed like the right way can lead to disaster. Now, do not turn me over to my desires or for false witness or raise up against me, spreading malicious accusation. So everybody was coming against him. So David described, false witness, and they had been spreading lies about him, and they had sworn to kill him, and this might refer to Saul. Early in David's life, or David's own son, or who lay so violent rebellious. Now, David went through something. The whole 20 years. 20 half of his life. He running from people. And so I remain confident of this, that I will see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. So the land of the living, meaning this life of time while I am still alive. Now David was going through a trial, but he was confident that in this present life, God will see him through it. And that's what all of us. We go through, I'm talking to myself too, going through so much difficult time. But God gonna see us through. We worrying about how, and then a lot of time, God know what we want before we even ask. you know. And so wait for the Lord and be strong and take heart and wait for the Lord. Now David also remind us to wait for the Lord. Because he had to wait for the Lord for 20 years. And when God finally gave him the position as king, what he did? He celebrated. He celebrated. Well, his wife was in the window just looking mad, booted up. She didn't want to see him celebrate. You know. So David also remind us to wait for the Lord and be strong and take heart and wait for the Lord. Because he did a lot of waiting. And he felt like the wait was worth it. So though God's answer may not come when or how we expect it, but you can trust that he is more faithful than even our parents. His parents didn't even check on him. They just turned him over to Saul. So he said God was more a parent to him than his own parent, on his flesh and blood parents. So in spite of anything that can happen, God will be there, for us. Ultimately, we who trust in him, safety for our soul, since that is the case, who on earth shall we fear? So that's what David said. David said, God is for us. So who on this earth, who should we fear? He said we shouldn't fear no one. Because if you got God in your life, God is walking with you, especially if David was still on his path. So he knew God was watching over him. So he said he didn't fear no one. He wasn't afraid no one. He said, who on this earth I should be afraid of? He said, no one. So he had to wait on the Lord, and that's why he was telling us we got to wait on the Lord. And remember Sarah took so long waiting on the Lord, she took matters in her own hand. So just like David could have killed Saul. David could have killed his enemy, because David can kill an animal with his bare hand. But he chose to be on his path, not do revenge, not harm nobody, but wait on the Lord. And so that's why he didn't harm. David respect God properly. He had many times he could have harmed Saul, but he chose not to. He said, I'm on my path and I don't want to shed blood while I'm on my path. And so he waited on the Lord until he couldn't wait no more. He did a prayer to God. God, you know me since I was a child, and I'm still waiting. You said I was going to be a king over your people. And God heard his prayers. God remembered him, and God made him the king over his people, and he celebrated. He danced, he sung, and everything else. He always honored God. He'd been having confidence in God since he was a little boy. And just how much he loved God. God remembered him working in that field. God watch over him, and no animals didn't tear him up at all. He the one broke the animals in half. So that's all I have for you today. Now they were saying, be fearless when you have God on your life, when you're on your path. So when you're on your journey, you have to be fearless. You can't be on your journey being scared. So David said he was on his path. So he said he wasn't scared. He wasn't afraid. He was fearless. And he said he wasn't afraid of no one. That's why he said he wasn't afraid of that giant. Because he knew he had confidence in God, that God going to intervene at any time. So that's all I have for you today. Y'all have a blessed day, and I'll see you on the next video. Be fearless. Have a nice one.